Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of CS News. Hope you guys all enjoy. Now, first off, I do want to warn you, my voice sounds terrible in this episode because my voice is almost gone from this weekend. Thank you all so much for staying out and staying tuned for my very first live streams. I have been live streaming on YouTube quite a bit this past weekend or so, and I hope to continue to do that. So thank you guys for all your generosity. As always, let's get right into the episode. And for anyone wondering how the Mountain Dew League is going right now, many of you guys know we have 24 amateur teams, or technically 22 amateur teams over in that league, and that league is actually coming to conclusion very soon as they head into week 9 this upcoming week. And after 9 weeks, they go into the playoffs. And the top team, I believe it's only the top team in this league, the number one finisher who wins the grand finals, will actually qualify for a spot in the next season of ESL Pro League. As many of you guys also know, ESL Pro League finals going on right now. So ESL Pro League season 5, the next season, the top team here will actually qualify for that. Unfortunately though, as you guys can see in the standings right now, we have 2 non-amateur teams that somehow got into Mountain Dew League, which I really don't like the layout of that, because the whole premise of this Mountain Dew League was actually to allow amateur teams to try and qualify for ESL Pro League, but we still have teams like TSM, Team Solo Mid, and also Luminosity dominating this league. And besides teams like Vault or maybe Ronin, there aren't too many amateur teams who I think really have a chance in playoffs. But it's going to be really cool to see, guys, after next week we go into playoffs, and going to be really cool to see who has actually a chance to maybe surprise us and actually qualify for the next season of ESL Pro League. So Mountain Dew League is still going on. Many of those games are kind of hard to find and actually watch. Many of their VODs aren't saved, but it's going to be a really cool league to see. Hopefully an amateur team does move on. And in some quick North American news for all of you guys who follow those lower tier North American teams, the former Pug Gods roster who partially became E United, I believe at least 3 of their players became the E United roster. A lot of people are very excited about this because ZPG or Pug Gods was performing very well in lower tiers, but they have been struggling these last few months as E United in these upper tier teams. As many of you guys probably saw in the ESL Pro League, they managed to qualify for that. A really surprised team there as they went through the lower tier qualifying system and were one of the lower tier teams to qualify for ESL Pro League. Now, unfortunately, these last few months throughout tournaments as well as in the ESL Pro League, many of you probably saw they were struggling. They only won 2 of 26 matches there, going 2-24. Now, only good news here is they did just about as good as Splice Gaming. Now, again, probably not good news, but unfortunately, this roster has been disbanded as of last. Unfortunately, though, people like A2Z in this roster hopefully going to be signing with new rosters sometime soon. This will not be the last time you hear from these guys. So the former Pug Gods roster has disbanded, but for the time being, they are looking for an organization. And I hyped up this next topic a lot in past CS News episodes, the PGL Minor Championship, as Renegades, the team who chose this PGL Minor Championship, an Asian offline qualifier for the next major over the ESL Pro League Finals, as many of you have probably been watching this past weekend, but instead they actually chose the PGL Minor to try and qualify for the next offline major. In order to do so, they had to finish top 2, and I told you guys it might be more difficult than it actually seems, or easier said than done, as teams like MVP Project, Tyloo, CyberZen would all be here. A top 4 teams, especially compared to Renegades in the past performances, they've lost to teams like Tyloo and CyberZen before, so going to be a difficult competition for them. This actually happened this past weekend, and surprisingly enough, MVP Project actually did not make it out of group stages. It was Teams Immunity. We also had Tyloo, CyberZen, and Renegades as our top 4 teams. No surprise there besides Team Immunity. Actually, an Australian team there, unfortunately, they did lose. I believe it was to Renegades in the quarterfinal matchup there. In the semifinal matchup, though, it was Tyloo and Renegades. They did meet in the semifinals, and really fortunately here for Renegades, they actually managed to beat Tyloo 2-1 in a close best-of-3 series and guaranteeing themselves a spot for the next offline qualifier and in a spot in the grand finals here, the PGL Minor Championship. Now, CyberZen also fought their way back to face off against Tyloo in the semifinals, the losers bracket. The winner of this matchup would go on to play Renegades in the finals and to certify their spot and guarantee their spot as well in the offline qualifier. It was Tyloo again beating CyberZen. Now, a pretty close series there as well, but although they did sweep them 2-0 in their best-of-3, some scores that were, decently close, but again, Tyloo, that number 1 Chinese team for sure, and certifying themselves in that spot again as they took down CyberZen. They also went on to the finals and actually faced off against Renegades. As many of you guys probably saw, they lost this first match in the semifinals and managed to beat Renegades here and 2-1 in a close best-of-3 series once again against these teams. So very fortunate here for Renegades. They didn't have to fight their way through the losers bracket, but it will be Tyloo and Renegades, probably to no surprise to many of you guys out there. They will be moving on to our offline qualifier for the next major from the Asian region. And in case you guys can't tell, I am losing my voice a little bit, but I'm going to shout out my sponsor again really quick, Scooby at TradeSkinsFast.com. Thank you so much to him. If you guys want to trade your skins fast and safe, that is my sponsor for the next few videos, or quite a few videos, so thank you to him. Links are down below in the description. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of this video. I am really losing my voice, as many of you guys could probably tell. It's been a crazy weekend. I've been back to live streaming. I've been yelling a lot. Hope you guys have all been enjoying those live streams. So now, next story Voice cracks. And I will be doing a full ESL Pro League Finals recap for all of you, so pay attention to the time markers down below if you guys don't want spoilers or don't want to really care about or hear about ESL Pro League Finals. I want to talk about this, probably going to last a good 2 or 3 minutes. So first off, I do want to talk about surprises. After I talk about the format, I love this format. I hope we see this more in the future. If many of you know, it's the same format as Epicenter, a round robin in our groups, initial groups of Group A and B. Obviously, Group A had no Fnatic, only 5 teams there, and Group B had those 6 teams. So they take those 6 teams out of group stages. In this case, it was the 3 top teams of Group A and 3 top teams of Group B after they play a round robin. Pretty much here, if you secure 3 wins, you're guaranteed to move on. And then we had a couple 2-win teams as well. So it's a round robin style, and some really interesting things happened. First off, I want to talk about Energy. No big surprise here, but a team who could have changed a lot of these other teams' future. Energy lost all 5 of their matches. They almost beat NIP. I believe it was day 1 or 2, and that would have changed a lot of things in the group. So they could have been a changer here. Unfortunately, very predictable. They actually lost all 5 of their matches. They'd have some close matches. NIP was that closest one where they blew a big lead. I want to talk about Liquid as well. A Liquid team that I saw, I probably saw coming. A lot of people out there said, no, ESL New York, they perform at LANs, they perform at big tournaments like this one in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They will come back. They will be the clutch Liquid that we see with Hiko and all those guys. They should do well. They lost their first 3 matches. They did not look good. I mean, there were some decently close score lines, but kind of a funny story if you guys paid attention to this. I'm not sure if the tiebreaker between these top 3 teams, obviously I said before, the top 3 teams do move out of groups, and they already have. I'm not really sure if the tiebreaker for those 3rd, 4th place teams were either round differential or if those teams had the same record where they actually have a playoff. I wasn't sure about that format, but it did come down to this. It was Immortals who was 1-2 at the time. Liquid was 0-3. They had their 4th and final match. Liquid actually won their first match against Immortals. It was their last match. Liquid was out no matter what. They decided to play hard against that South American lineup of Immortals, and I believe so. If this actually would have been a playoff, if Immortals would have won against Liquid, they would have gone 2-2 in groups along with NIP, and possibly would have played off against them to take that 3rd and final spot out of Group A. So that would have been really cool to see, but unfortunately Liquid did knock Immortals out, I think, as of right now. But if it was round differential, Immortals got killed their first few matches, so it would not have been close for round differential if that was the tiebreaker. So alongside this, guys, a big surprise to many of you. Many people thought after Epicenter last weekend, Dignitas, this Danish lineup was looking amazing. We had Madisboy and Config, Rubino, MSL. They were all looking so amazing going into this tournament, and I think it was hyped up to the point where it really just shut these guys down. They started off really, really well. They won their first 2 matches in convincing fashion against, I believe it was Energy and NIP. Obviously, NIP was a closer game there, but they did do so. They took down Energy 16-3, and they were looking very, very good on this day 1, going 2-0, and they pulled an ESL clone. If you guys remember back in ESL clone, the major qualifier, we had both Cloud9 and Hellraisers. This major qualifier took the first 8 teams to 3 victories. I know this is a flashback to all of you guys, but Cloud9 and Hellraisers won their first 2 games, and then they both had 2 chances at least against teams to actually qualify for the major. And as many of you probably remember, Cloud9 didn't make the major, a team that we really suspected would make it for North America. But both Hellraisers and North America in that ESL Cologne major qualifier lost their 2 last chance matches. They both had 2 matches to go and make that next major. They ended up losing to G2 and Flipside Tactics, who took their spots instead. So Dignitas kind of pulling that here. They had 3 chances to secure their spot, but Dignitas in Group B, having 6 teams there, only having 2 wins, did not secure them a spot. In another quarterfinals really quick, it was NIP sweeping Envious, and also in the North American battle, we had Cloud9 versus Optic Gaming. Cloud9 looking very dominant here as they sweep Optic Gaming as well. In our semifinals, guys, more importantly, just happened at the point of me recording this video, we did have NIP versus SK Gaming, as well as Cloud9 versus Mouse Sports. So really, the hometown favorites, SK Gaming, again, a dominant performance. After losing their first ever map, they have not dropped one since then, and they actually beat NIP here, only dropping another map here. They beat them 2-1 in a best-of-3 series. It did go to map 3, but again, looking very dominant there. SK Gaming did take them down. Also, more importantly, I want to talk on this a little bit more. Cloud9 versus Mouse Sports. I personally would have said this is going to be a really dead split series, definitely a Game 3 series. Cloud9, again, though, looked very, very good. First map, Cobblestone, 16-9, and they went on their actual Mouse Sports' pick, and they beat them there on Mirage, 16-10. So again, a 2-0 sweep there for Cloud9. They are looking amazing, and for the first time since I believe it was all the way back to ESL Cologne, we have now again in a big tournament, an All-American final. That is SK Gaming. This time not Liquid. It will be Cloud9 versus SK Gaming. So it's going to be a really cool series, guys. SK Gaming going to be the hometown favorite, and again versus Cloud9, definitely going to be the favorite here in this series. So it's going to be really cool to see. At the point of you guys watching this video, that final should be on very soon. I believe it's going to be 3:40 Central Time, 3:40, 3:50, around that time Central Time for me. And right now it's currently 2 o'clock. So by the time this episode goes up, those finals should be going on right now. So best of luck to Cloud9. Also, they've been looking very, very good. On top of this, their last map on Mirage, Skadoodle actually dropped 28 frags. Although he only had 12 frags in their first map, 28 frags there. He's coming off a high right now. Cloud9, can they do it? I have no idea. Hope you guys stay tuned for that. And one more last story for all of you guys. And also really big news, I want to talk about this tomorrow as well. As many of you guys don't know, earlier in the first story today for CSGO News, we talked about the PGL Minor Championship for the Asian region for that offline qualifier. We also have the PGL Minor Championship for the European region for that offline qualifier starting next week very soon. So it's going to be a very big thing and a very big matchup for a lot of these tier 2, tier 3 teams. Whatever teams are actually going to be there that have not already qualified for the offline qualifier for the next major. Teams like Space Soldiers, LDLC, Ence Esports, Hellraisers. We also have Heroic. And again, Ence is going to be there, but they will not have their full lineup. If you guys have not heard this, they have dropped their 5th member, or their 5th member, Juho, is actually left. They are now left with Sunny, Arvid, Nasu, and I believe Alex is their 4th member now, and they will not have that full roster. So as of right now, we can expect them to announce their 5th member sometime soon because, you know, in his actual tweet, he said, good luck at the minor. The minor starts in less than a week's time. So good luck to them. We should expect an announcement from Ence Esports very soon, but that's going to be a very important qualifier to see which European teams. Also, Godsent roster is going to be there. Kind of a weird lineup to see in that mix. Alongside Hellraisers, you feel like all these other teams are lower tier teams, but all of a sudden we have teams like Hellraisers and Godsent that are going to be there and trying to compete to try and qualify for the offline qualifier. So a big competition coming soon and some big news as well. I am so sorry for the range of voices I had throughout this video. If you guys could not tell, when I started this episode of CSGO News, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. I had just woken up. My voice was groggy and sore, and it was just terrible to listen to. I am very sorry for that quality. I really hope to pick that up in the future. I'm going to try and invest sometime soon in a new camera. If you guys have any recommendations for, you know, somewhat cheap cameras that I could use, that could just, you know, plug into a USB to my actual computer, and that way I can have not only have better webcam quality, but also audio quality. Let me know down in the comment section down below, guys. Anything that's less than $200, something that's actually affordable for me for what I make through YouTube. So, as always, hope you guys all enjoy. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys all tomorrow within 2 days for some more CSGO News. We are entering the busy period of the school year. I'm also trying to go back to full-time live streaming. So, a lot of stuff going on right now. Hope you guys all enjoy. As always, thank you all for watching. Live, love, laugh a lot. My name is Jake. Remember, I like you. Have fun watching CSGO today. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.